The role of betrayal and loyalty pacts. How oaths, betrayals, and forced loyalty serve as curse-binding contracts. Every generational curse has an entry point, a moment in history when something was agreed to, traded, or compromised in such a way that it altered the trajectory of an entire bloodline. Few mechanisms are as potent or enduring in this role as betrayal and loyalty pacts. These two forces, seemingly opposite in nature, often work in tandem to establish, reinforce, and perpetuate curses for centuries. At their core, both betrayal and loyalty pacts are about agreements, not just the kind written on paper, but the kind written in spiritual ink. Oaths spoken, commitments made under duress, or promises sealed with blood, sex, secrecy, or sacrifice. These agreements carry spiritual weight, and that weight doesn't dissolve when the person who made them dies. It passes forward, binding descendants to the original terms unless it is intentionally broken. Betrayal as a curse anchor. Betrayal is more than emotional treachery. In spiritual law, it is a breach of covenant. When trust is weaponized against someone, especially in a way that results in loss of inheritance, land, position, safety, or life, the betrayal leaves behind a spiritual wound. If unhealed and unaddressed, this wound becomes fertile ground for a curse. Why betrayal is spiritually potent? Covenant breaking. Many curses operate on the principle that the breaking of a sacred agreement creates a vacuum, which dark spiritual forces are quick to fill. Blood level impact, betrayal between family members, spouses, or covenant partners often opens doors that strangers could never access. Legal entry point. In spiritual terms, betrayal can serve as evidence against a bloodline, granting ongoing legal rights for oppression or sabotage. When betrayal is tied to survival, for example, when an ancestor betrayed allies to save themselves or gain personal advantage, it often cements a pattern in the bloodline. Survival through treachery, even if it destroys relationships or trust for generations. Loyalty pacts as binding contracts. On the surface, loyalty is a virtue. In its healthy form, it builds trust, strengthens alliances, and preserves unity. But loyalty can be corrupted into a binding mechanism when it is demanded at the expense of truth, integrity, or freedom. This is the darker side of loyalty, the loyalty pact. A loyalty pact is an agreement spoken or implied that your allegiance to the person, group, or family outweighs your personal safety, calling, or morality. You will protect the group's secrets, no matter the cost. You will remain one of us, even if doing so requires self-betrayal. These pacts can be formal, sealed with oaths, rituals, contracts, or blood, or informal, cemented through shared secrets, guilt, or manufactured debt. Once in place, they become guardrails that keep the curse running. Any attempt to challenge the curse's terms is labeled as disloyalty, and disloyalty is punished. How betrayal and loyalty pacts work together. At first glance, betrayal and loyalty seem like opposites. One destroys trust, the other enforces it. But in the architecture of a curse, they often function as two ends of the same chain. Loyalty pacts keep people in the curse by convincing them that breaking away would make them the betrayer. Betrayal patterns ensure that anyone who tries to dismantle the curse experiences devastating consequences, reinforcing fear of disloyalty in everyone else. Example: a patriarch swears allegiance to a corrupt ruler to protect the family's land. As part of the deal, he betrays a neighboring family by revealing their hiding place during a time of persecution. The land is spared, but the betrayal becomes part of the family's spiritual ledger. Generations later, the family still benefits from the land, but anyone who questions how it was obtained or suggests restitution is branded as a traitor to the bloodline. Case study: the pact that ate the heirloom. In one European family, an ancestor in the 1600s was given a priceless artifact as payment for betraying a resistance group to occupying forces. The deal included an oath. The artifact would never be sold or given away outside the bloodline. On the surface, the artifact became a treasured heirloom symbolizing survival. In reality, it was the physical anchor of a curse. Every generation the family experienced violent conflicts over inheritance, estrangement between siblings, a pattern where the winner in inheritance battles died prematurely. Breaking the curse required identifying the original betrayal, publicly acknowledging it within the family, and ceremonially releasing the artifact from the bloodline, dismantling the loyalty pact that had kept the curse in place for 400 years. Signs: you're under a betrayal, loyalty curse structure, rewriting of history. Family stories change to hide the truth about key events or agreements. Punishment for truth-telling. Speaking honestly about the family's past or present brings retaliation. Inherited feuds. Hostilities from generations ago still dictate who you trust or avoid. Conditional support. Help and resources are only given if you maintain certain allegiances. Fear of becoming the traitor. Deep anxiety that breaking from the family's way will mark you forever as an enemy. Breaking betrayal and loyalty-based curses. Breaking these structures is high risk in both spiritual and practical terms because they are heavily defended. The process typically includes 1. exposing the original agreement trace back to the first known instance of betrayal or loyalty pacts. Name the parties involved and the exact terms, if known. 2. Breaking the spiritual contract. Use verbal and written declarations to renounce any agreement made in your name or by your ancestors that traded truth, justice, or freedom for survival, gain, or protection. 3. Disentangling from living enforcers. Reduce or cut off dependence on living gatekeepers who enforce loyalty through fear, control, or resource manipulation. 4. Returning or releasing anchors. If a physical object, land, or position is tied to the original pact, release it or reclaim it under new terms. 5. Protecting against retaliation. Prepare spiritually, emotionally, and logistically for backlash both seen and unseen. This is one of the most guarded curse mechanisms, and breaking it often triggers resistance. Betrayal and loyalty pacts endure because they weaponize two of the most powerful human drivers, belonging and trust. They exploit the deep fear of isolation while also corrupting the meaning of loyalty. As long as those emotional drivers remain unexamined, the curse's hold is almost impossible to detect, let alone dismantle. Freedom comes when loyalty is redefined not as blind allegiance to a corrupt system, but as steadfast commitment to truth, righteousness, and the well-being of future generations. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start: the black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.